You look like you.
Right? Is he blinking his eyes? Johnny, are you blinking?
I'm trying to bet. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. It's a little fuzzy tonight, but I am backstage at the Baltimore Theater Project. This is the first day for production week for a Real Nigga show, a show that I'm working with. It's celebrating its 17th year in existence, and we are doing a special live streaming of it because, of course, COVID, the pandemic, shut us down, and we had to alter our dates. And now we're doing a special one-night performance of a live stream theatrical production, and it is very much so a curio poem style, like For Color Girls. It has many nods to For Color Girls, August Wilson pieces, and it's filled with music, some dance. And actually, this is the first episode where we'll be incorporating some short films from some local DMV filmmakers. So I want everybody to definitely join in. And actually, I can give us a little. Just a little. We are actually backstage in the dressing room right now, but they're getting set up. Y'all can see behind me. Is that Troy? That's Troy Burton right there. Jeff and the crew is here with Troy, the director and producer, and we're just doing a little glimpse of it. But we'll be doing a special interview tonight with Mr. Troy Burton, so definitely stay tuned for that. But tonight, we have Mr. George. I don't want to mess your last name. Is it Daigle?
Close. Daigle. Very good. It's been pronounced every kind of way you can imagine. So you were closer than many. Trust me.
But as long as we spell it right on the checks, that's all.
Exactly.
But I was introduced to Mr. George. He responded to a message on my page about an issue that I'm gonna bring up a little bit later. It's that same clip that I took from the Joe Budden show, speaking on DMX, and I'm gonna ask George that a little bit later. But George is the CEO, founder, and operating manager, I guess, of We Are You Radio out of Atlanta. They have coined the voice of pride, but they're very inclusive. That just so happens to be their perspective. And home now of one of my favorite hosts, Miss Sophia McIntosh, out of Atlanta.
Yes.
So I am very excited to be talking to this gentleman today. We're gonna talk a little bit about his station, his journey to being this radio mogul, media mogul. I want to limit you.
Speak that.
It's already done. You already there, sir. You just gotta let the money come flowing in at this point. And we're gonna talk a little bit.
Money cometh to me. Money cometh.
Share. You gotta share though. You gotta share. We're gonna talk a little bit about the ATL culture and this entertainment arts district that Atlanta has become, has always been, but now it's getting its just dues. For a long time, Atlanta was somewhat of a roadhouse, and where artists went to go create music, and then they took it elsewhere. But we're going to talk to you, and you know what? We're talking to you right now. Can you introduce yourself, sir? And about who you are and.
Okay. Again, my name is George Daigle. I have been an Atlanta citizen, I guess, if you will say, for about 17 years. I'm originally from Louisiana and have had 20 some odd years experience in radio. My real job, the one that pays the check so far, is a flight attendant.
We call them benefactors. That's a benefactor.
There you go. That has allowed me to do what I am doing now. There you go. And basically my journey to coming to We Are You Radio has transversed from Louisiana to Nashville to Mississippi to here in all of those different areas of radio. So then
what part of Louisiana are you from?
Southwest Louisiana, a town
Okay.
called Lafayette, where you've been probably reading about in the news as of late, because there's some protesting going on there recently. Yeah.
Is that the boot? Is that what they call it? I think it's called the boot. Was a
the
little
boot
bit.
state.
Little,
the boot
okay,
state. The boot state. We're like 3 hours southwest of New Orleans, because that's where everybody knows.
If people don't realize it, everybody thinks New Orleans when they think Louisiana, but Lafayette is really like I don't want to call it the suburbs, but it's the rural area.
It is. And if you want to get some real Louisiana food, Lafayette, anywhere on any street corner, anybody's house, just pull up in the driveway. That's where
somebody's mama gonna be waiting for you at the interstate.
Exactly. So that's a little bit about my background, a little bit about me, but I'm excited about what you guys are doing as well. Definitely. Thank you for inviting me.
So Be Exposed, like We Are You Radio. Actually, Monty is in the background somewhere finagling all of this for us. But I started watching you because of Miss Sophia. But I was so happy to hear that it was Black owned, because many times it's a conglomerate and it may be having a Black face on it in terms of operating, but it's often owned by a bigger agency. So I was really excited that it was a Black man, a Black person, and then it was very inclusive to all of Black culture, not just what's hip hop or what's popular or what looks like the best thing to sell. So I was very excited looking at your lineup. You have a very eclectic blend of hosts and individuals that actually come on the show. So I was very excited that it wasn't just going to be another commercial station. So I'm really
it's interesting that you bring up that point, because the road to creating We Are You Radio kind of is what you spoke of earlier. When I was looking around, it started with me looking around for a Pride playlist that spoke to my experience, my Mary J. Blige and my Mariah Carey and my Biggie Smalls, and this as an African-American Black man was a part of my background. And so I was looking for that Pride list that reflected that, gave me some Sylvester and gave me some Carl Dean. Some of y'all got to look this up. Gave me some Frankie Knuckles. But it wasn't there. And everything that was marked as Pride reflected something that didn't reflect who I was and my background.
It was one-dimensional.
Exactly. And there are many radio stations, no slight to them, thank you for existing, but there are many Pride stations that reflect only one part of the whole LGBTQ community. So once I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, there's more. And as I started to look for that playlist, I started to discover all these LGBTQ artists who were hip hop. They sang all these great artists. I'm like, wait, they're not even getting played on these regular stations, which is where I got my start. So that brought me all the way to say, wait a minute, I'm going to create a platform that allows the LGBTQ artists to be featured and at the same time reflects my upbringing, who I am as an LGBTQ African American, with all of the music that reflects who we are. And so that's how We Are You Radio came to be. So that you made that point earlier about stations reflecting only one point and one side. That's why we exist now. So I'm glad to be where we are.
And it's very unfortunate for me to hear that about Atlanta, because I come down there for the arts festival every year. And one of the things that I always loved about Atlanta was it was very inclusive to Atlanta born or Atlanta raised artists. Like, it was at one point you only heard Atlanta artists on their radio stations, and then at some point they started playing Janet because Janet became, entangled with Atlanta through her relationship. But other than that, it was really inclusive. Like, it was hard to hear anybody else. And then at some point, I think radio in general shifted, and it became more so about what was commercial, what was the top 10 artists. And that's unfortunate, because artists began to cry out because of their funding in terms of not getting paid for radio spins. But that was kind of the major outlet, kind of how artists got heard or seen or became popular. Now it's a whole nother genre, but it was very hearing you say that is unfortunate about Atlanta because that's what I knew Atlanta to be, very
Yeah.
inclusive, and why the fact that they would not include their LGBTQ community in that realm, or that those artists that represent those genres.
Right.
It's
And
unfortunate.
let me rephrase too, because I know I'm going to get called on that. Let me say not just LGBTQ, but open and
Yes.
aware people who are openly gay, because there are LGBTQ artists who don't say that, outward. So I don't want to say that
Hmm.
nobody's playing it because someone, oh, we playing them. But those whose pronouns are not changed to fit the
Yes.
industry, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Let me rephrase that. Yeah, but yeah, you
And
are
it's
absolutely right.
and it's I'm glad that terrestrial radio like yours, like our station, we're still trying to cater. And you play music, so you are the the a normal FM station platform foundation that you have there. You play a lot of music, and then talk becomes second to that. So how is that feel now that the whole game has changed? Is it more expensive? Is it how is it in terms of running a station that's music driven?
Well, the way I coming from the background I come from, I wanted to give a level of excellence.
Hmm.
And that's not to slight anybody else, but I really wanted to have all the bells and whistles, all the personalities, and all of everything that you would hear on a terrestrial radio station. I didn't want you to feel like, oh, it's a online radio station, so you're not getting what you would get. I want you to
Right.
feel like this is a radio station. This is really what it is. And this is where we really are moving, to be honest. Everybody's streaming music now. Everybody has so many different
Hmm.
choices and levels of choices that you have to be able to take that away. And you were speaking early, and I want to speak to that because this is my bag. I think what happens is with
Hmm.
Atlanta radio, it has changed because there are not as many individuals owning the stations, and you have basically one hand making the planning, picking the music, deciding who's acceptable, who
Hmm.
gets in, who gets out. And so that whole eclecticism that used to exist in radio no longer exists. You can turn
Hmm.
any dial and everybody sounds exactly the same.
Right.
You can't even tell who you're listening to sometimes. So that's what has changed. So here at We Are You Radio, I wanted to have that level of excellence with the same thing that you would get with an FM, but still have that variety that when we were growing up, oh my God, let me write this down. Let me get excited. Whereas now you can just
Right.
turn it on. It's like it's the same five artists everywhere you go.
And I hate that because here in Baltimore, where we're out of, that happened to us years ago. Like I
Mm,
want to say, even before the 2000s started, we lost our morning show, and everything became like combined. So now we have, and we love Ricky Smiley, but Ricky Smiley not here. So when
mm,
he's talking about
mm,
local
mm,
news, he's not here.
mm,
And
mm.
I give much love to Kathy Hughes, but that really, I think it made it harder for our local artists to even get up on. So we would have to go to a DC or Philly or Atlanta. A lot of our artists come down to Atlanta to be able to feel that thing of being put on because we
Mhm.
don't own. Well, Kathy Hughes owns the station, but again, it's been stripped down to its bare bones.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now that, and I understand partially because online radio, and it's nothing wrong with, please rep your online, everybody that's listening, rep your online outlets, because that's now how artists are now being heard in this large, pool, this sea of, media now. But it's really unfortunate
Mhm.
that radio, what we know to be radio, what we grew up on, that FM station, has grown to be something that is not inclusive, and it's playing the same top 10 songs all day, every day.
All day, yeah. That was one of the reasons when I and you spoke about Miss Sophia, who is calling me right now during this during this Zoom.
She's so ghetto. She's so ghetto. But he's I think he may have gone off for a second. But my reason for bringing him on, Mr. George, on, is I wanted to kind of touch on a lot of what radio is now and what it's become, and how we can actually utilize the platform to be what we need it to be. And it's unfortunate that many bigger conglomerates have turned radio into this popular club, this clique of the top 10, what's popular, into a lot of the really hardworking artists that keep this industry going. George, when you were away, I was kind of touching on, where's media gonna go now? Like, how can we get radio back to its best days? And I know we can't go back in time, but moving forward, how can we do it? Because on one side, radio stations have become these conglomerates, but on the other side, because artists are fighting for a bigger share of their money, radio stations have been taxed a lot across the country in terms of what it costs to actually do it. Was it difficult switching to this platform where you played more music, or?
For me, when I, again, going back 20 some odd years, y'all old school, I'm talking CDs, reel to reels. Y'all young folks, y'all don't know nothing about that.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
But when I started, that was my focus, being able to make sure that the music was featured and upfront. And unfortunately, for radio now, because of the cost of radio and how much it costs to run it, and the lack of financial support with commercials and those things, I get that some of these some radio stations have had to have those syndicated programming to fill in the gaps. I completely get it. And to piggyback on what you said is that now those same 10 artists are being played on those stations because they're owned by just a couple of people. Where online radio comes in, and this is a shout out to some of my brothers and sisters who are working urban underground, the weekly top 40, and all of these guys are able now to feature artists that would not normally get to play. Not that we're just playing anything, but would not normally get exposure on radio until they become the buzz. And now everybody, like, for example, when Jenny Aiko was, everybody was a fan of Jenny Aiko, but she wasn't getting that play. And then when broadcast radio got a hold of it, it was everywhere. So online radio gives people an experience to hear stuff that they may not get exposed to on their local radio station, which, by the way, is not really local. And so when you hear that, grab onto that, gravitate to that, because they will give you exposure to stuff that you probably have on your playlist. Like, oh my God, they're playing so and so and so and so. They don't play this on the radio, and that's where Are You Radio and other online or digital platform stations, is what we call us, do what we do, and that's what pulls us apart from the rest of the radio industry.
I love it because online is naturally syndicated, so not only are you able to be exposed by music from across the country and around the world, but you're also exposing people to the culture that you're in, naturally syndicated. You don't have to buy into markets or, do that thing of matching with a lot of different other entities in terms of other shows. I love online because it's naturally syndicated. Now, being in Atlanta, I'm quite sure you are not short of guests or individuals to support. How is it doing this now in Atlanta?
Well, we just moved into our studio, as you see behind me and around the room. We just moved into our downtown Atlanta studios, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, just give us a call. In the Peachtree Towers, and the support has been overwhelming. People have gotten in my box, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're here!" And they're fans who are not fans. I don't want to say supporters who have said, "Oh my God, I didn't know this station was around." And I'll be having a conversation. I'll say, "Listen to the station." Like, "Oh my God, this is really good." But Sophia has been pivotal in bringing the Atlanta listeners here, because if no one knows, she is the host of Atlanta. Yes. And
the real mouth of the South.
Exactly. We can go all into that because you already know where that goes. But when I go ahead. You it's on you. It's your show. We can take it wherever you want to go.
This is an intelligent conversation.
There you go. There you go. But when I created We Are You Radio, when Miss Sophia became available, I approached her and I said, look, I really want you to be a part of this. This is what we're going to do. And she was like, yeah, been there, done that. I was like, no, really, really. She's like, yeah, let me get back to you. And then I finally called her and I said, can you start on this date? And she's like, oh, well, okay. And I'm so glad because she is key in this. And this is our station. And I say that to everybody. I am the CEO. I'm writing the bill, paying the bills, but without Sophia, this would not be what it is and what it's becoming. So I owe a great debt to her being a part of this. And she's breathing a life into it because people know who she is. And they're like, oh, you on the radio again? Oh, my God. So that's a great thing. Not only that, it's
you're bringing back that idea of radio personality. And it's not about just the name of the station, but you know, what holds that up? And you're allowing, I was listening to I listened to her show, and I was hearing one conversation where she was talking about, you know, now it being on her shoulders, but now you're allowing artists like that and personalities like that to have ownership in what they're doing, and they're not as dispensable as many, you know, organizations have made personalities over the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. That was my aim, and that was my point, and that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. And I encourage anybody who has an interest in doing radio, real radio. There's a difference. I encourage you to give me a call, contact us, let us know. We would love to have people, especially here in Atlanta. But even if you're out of, you know, in another, you know, state or city, I'd be interested in having that conversation, because especially if you embrace our community, you're an ally. You don't have to be from the LGBTQ community. You can be an ally as well. We welcome you to be a part of this as well, to kind of bridge that gap of community and what that means.
I love your catchphrase, you know, the voice of pride, because it doesn't necessarily mean that the station is gay, but it's more so that's just the perspective that it's coming from.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
I hear the music that's being played in the background. That's the same music that's playing over the oldie but goodie stations and the hip hop stations. So you're playing music, and it's not just gay. So I like that you haven't boxed yourself in a corner, but you to be able to, you know, grow from and be able to bring in different artists from all genres, not one specific one. Was that purpose?
That was intentional. Yes. When I first started the station back in 2018, we've been around that long now. 2018, the positioning statement was music for the LGBTQ community. And as I listened to that statement over and over again, I said, wait, I don't want this to be, you know, I don't want to be exclusive. I want to be inclusive. So we switched the branding to the Urban Sound of Pride, because the Urban Sound of Pride is our sister, our allies, LGBTQ, all of that. And the Urban Sound of Pride is Mary J. Blige, is Justin Timberlake, is Beyonce, is Frankie Knuckles. So, well, you know, that's another thing that if I can, when I say urban, a lot of people think Black, but urban sometimes can be a Justin Timberlake, sometimes can be a Britney or Christina, you know, and so on and so on. Sometimes.
You're pushing it now, sir. You're pushing it.
Well, let me give you an example.
They come to the city. I get it. They come to the city sometimes.
Right. They're welcome to the barbecue.
Right.
See, they're welcome to the barbecue. So when we talk about the Urban Side of Pride, we're including those who are invited to the barbecue. So that is it. That's definitely it. So as you know, as we move forward, the Urban Sound of Pride is inclusive of all of those things that are familiar to our community.
So just moving backwards a little bit, you said media was a part of your education, or was it just something you worked on?
I was actually funny story. I was actually in school for mass communications, but radio, I have been listening to radio all my life. I have practiced in my backyard as a 6-year-old kid interviewing imaginary celebrities. And there was a local radio station. I'm real with this. And there was a local radio station. His name was Frank Trey. And I would call every week. I was like, hey, y'all hiring? He's like, call me next week. Hey, y'all hiring? Call me in 2 weeks. Hey, y'all hiring? And finally, he just got sick of me. And he's like, just come and train tonight. And I trained one night, and then became the overnight jock. I was the quiet storm guy. How you doing? On a hip hop stuff. Exactly. And that's where I started. So I've been doing this ever since. I've worked in hip hop. I worked in jazz. I was the program director and founder of the first gospel station back in my hometown. I worked in Nashville. I worked in Mississippi. And now home is here.
And I love that about being from a hitter. So we normally have to pick up our training along the journey, and radio is very much so like that, because it wasn't back in the day. It wasn't built for you to be at a station for 30 years. You were supposed to move around. That was the fun of it, like your journey throughout it. Look at Wendy Williams, like she's traveled so much throughout the career, and that's what made her. I love now that personalities are able to be seen now. So now we've introduced this idea of podcast and video to radio, and now it's taking many personalities to a whole nother level. Look, now every music artist has their own radio show, because now they are realizing it is a platform to kind of take you other places. It's not just you stuck in a corner like it used to be. Now everybody is being able to see you and see the people that's on your show, and it's a whole new perspective now. It's not just voices and sounds, but it's certainly.
Yeah, exactly. And that also speaks to the power of radio, that everybody has a podcast now. And that, people understand that there's power in this platform. But again, and this is to the great podcasters, hey, back there, whoever you are, this is to the great podcasters and those who are just starting. Content is important, and who you're speaking to is important, and how you want your branding to speak to your listeners is important. And coming back to We Are You Radio, that was the most important thing. Who is receiving this? How are we being seen? And how can we lift up the platform from where we are? Because radio kind of lost that community feel. It kind of lost being a part of who we are, the fabric of who we are.
It became a business. It became, and
unfortunately,
radio was social. Go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality of where it is. Looking back 20 years ago to now, I get it. But there's still a way that you can make a way for your local artists, like it used to be, or those guys that don't, open it up and stop letting the big names be the push of it. You've got a community of artists now. Everybody's an artist now. You got a computer and a microphone. You're an artist. So the life is different. Life is different.
Right. But radio has often been that determining factor, because if you didn't have a personality and you came to interview on a station, you got found out through the radio. And I love the explosion of internet radio, because now is forcing us to go back to that moment where people just talked. We're not just spinning records anymore, but now we're forced to actually communicate. Radio was a tool for so long, and then it got real funny, because it became about these specific artists versus all these artists that are really fueling the industry. How do you think We Are You Radio is going to kind of make its mark in Atlanta, or how do you plan to make your mark in Atlanta? This explosion.
You know what, my true vision is so big right now. Sometimes I don't even want to speak it, but my real vision is that an XM Sirius Radio, hey, hi, how y'all doing? Or an iHeart Radio, hey y'all, how y'all doing? Would come forward and say, we see your vision, we see what you're doing, and we want to be a part of that. We want to help you take that to the next level.
Well, I think somebody just snitched on you in a way.
What did they say? What happened?
I think Jana says that you sing also.
Oh, shush. Jana, I hate you right now. I hum very well. That's what I do. I hum very well.
He's so humble. Thank you. But you're in Atlanta now, so you could do everything. Everything is possible in Atlanta.
You know what? I am, believe it or not, very shy. So if no one hands me a mic and plays a key, I won't do it. That's just me. So yeah.
Well, radio now, and what it has helped me, because like I said, I'm a theater actor. I'm also a teacher. It's helped me to kind of learn how to itemize my time a little bit better, because radio feels so stationary. It forces you to itemize the things that you want to do, and now you can add things to your repertoire that you couldn't do before. Because now
Right.
radio is so flexible, in timing and where we can do it. So I was in my home throughout the quarantine, but now I'm able to come to the theater where I'm at. So radio has become something where you were at, not necessarily where the station is.
Yeah, that's good. Let me write that down. I'm gonna have to steal that. Hold on.
I'll send it to you. What went into you now having your own brick and mortar? Why that move, especially during a pandemic?
Well, here's the thing. This was my vision from the beginning, and I delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and we had conversations with some of the staff members, Jana, who was one of them, and Sophia, and this was my true vision. And I said, if I don't do this now, if I don't do it now, I'm going to delay, and it's never going to happen. So I'm just going to step out on faith, because this was a vision. I truly believe that this was given to me. It didn't just, I didn't make this happen. It was given to me. All the people that have been a part of it, Diamond and Jana and Nova and Sophia and Keith and DB. Did I say everybody, Jana? Please remind me if I didn't. And Khalif and other people who have come in. They have all been a part of this vision and have jumped on board and said, we got you. And I lost my track. But basically what I was saying was that now where we are is what my vision was to begin with. And so I was like, okay, we found a bit, and it was the perfect storm, because I was looking for a building and I thought I found it. And then when the supporters, Jana and everybody else on the staff, they were like, this it. So I had to start looking again. And I walked into another building with another woman I had never met. And she said, look, don't know this woman. Her name is Charlotte, sweet woman. She said, look, I got you. Let me help you out. Let me help you do this. And I was like, really? And we walked into, they had the radio set up already for us. All we had to do is bring the equipment. I was like, okay, God, this you. I'm good. Let's do it. And so we're here. It's a pandemic.
Sometimes it's just about timing, though.
It's
about timing.
Right. Yeah. So we are here. And again, I'm just handing this over to God. People have come in. We had Tawanda Braxton just a few days ago here in the studio, cocktails and all. We've had people from the Trans Entertainment Network be here. And some of the fans of Sophia have jumped on board and like, we want to come in. So it's all in the timing, as you said. So I'm just being diligent.
Oh, is that downtown Atlanta? You're downtown Atlanta, right?
Downtown Atlanta. We're on Peachtree Street, right on Peachtree Street. Not too far from that other station that Miss Sophia used to work at.
They're lost. But I'm and me just doing my due diligence and kind of trolling you online and preparing for today. I'm really excited about your station and finding another station like ours that really love the craft and not just the attention. And people, they're here for the selfie. They love the selfie part, but the work that goes into radio is not for the lighthearted, and you don't get paid right away, and it's an investment in not only your brand but your time, your energy, your talents. How are you preparing yourself for that grind? I mean, you've been doing this already, so it's not like you just started the station, but in terms of now taking it to this level, I think this quarantine has forced all of us who are entrepreneurs and take to another level. How are you doing that outside of the brick and mortar station? But how are you now thinking about? I don't want you to give me a plan, because I know that's top secret.
Well, it's evolving even as we speak.
Okay.
for us at We Are You Radio, it was everybody's in the planning. Like I say, everybody that's on the staff is an integral part of what I am doing. And so I'm listening to them, and, you know, we're deciding what it is that we want to do, what it is that we want to make this. What has prepared me for this basically is everything that I've done before this basically has prepared me for this. And you were speaking earlier about the, you know, everybody wants that selfie time. Everybody wants that, this is my brand and I want to present my brand. But I want to speak, because there's a lot of people that I'm watching, and I'm watching their grind. It's about the grind, that selfie, and that the money and the positioning and the sponsorship. That's gonna come with the quality of your work, the quality of your craft, the quality of what it is you do. And people can tell when you're just putting something together to get the likes and shares. And there we go again. People can tell when you are just doing it for the likes and shares. And integrity is everything. And I don't know if you can still see me. I got a phone call coming in. Can you still see me?
You got to tap your screen. The camera now. But in creating this type of brand, it really. Are we back on?
Yes, I see you now.
That's the crazy part. Wow. Okay, so in us building these brands, I think people should, before they go out and spend their money, make sure it's something that you can be consistent at. Make sure it's something that you are willing to be there in the middle of the night and early in the morning, and, you know, throughout the day. And a lot of people, and if you can't, make sure, if it's something you really want to do, that you bring together a team. One of my things with being Be Exposed was loyalty. You know, and I could have went to any other station, but being consistent and building that team together, it really has helped me to be a better artist and a better entrepreneur outside of doing radio, because you have to build that loyalty. Right now, everybody is so fickle. You know, everybody's so cliquey and everybody ready to jump ship. But when you do something like this, it's not just George's money and George's time and George's energy that's being put into this. It's part of his team. Everybody that's signing on. In terms of branching out beyond Atlanta, how do you I know right now you're everything from the janitor to the CEO. So how are you now handling it on a business angle now that the industry is flooded with stations and shows and personalities?
Well, one of the things, again, as I was speaking to earlier, I'm hoping that the quality of what we do speaks to the audience. And when people who are in a position to help us or to support us in any way, that they're able to see the quality and then say, okay, let me see how I can invest in it, whether that's advertising, whether that's you know, actually writing a check and saying, hey, or becoming an investor. So our plan is to continue to be on the grind, to continue to do what we do, and then continue to create what we're creating. And so once people see that, they'll be able to gravitate that. So that's what we're trying to do to take ourselves beyond that. Because you were saying earlier, everybody wants to be seen. And sometimes you get up and you do stuff because it's popular, because everybody else is doing it, and that's not your bag, that's not your thing, but you're trying to make it your thing. And I don't know if I lost you because you kind of froze there. So I'm going to keep on talking and hope we get back to the screen. But so that shows in what you're doing, and so the quality is what we're hoping to create and stay constant with. And once we stay constant with that, people will be, you know, gravitate to us and then help support us. I don't know if I lost you, if he lost his connection or I lost my connection. I think we did. So I'll just keep on talking unless somebody else is in the background. Okay. I can wait, or I can just keep right on talking.
Keep right on talking. Go on. Come on.
Good. So when we were talking about creating We Are You Radio, Miss Sophia was definitely one of the first people, like I said, I thought of. And I don't know if she wants to be on camera with me, but she just came into the room. So you can come on this side and share the camera with me.
No, I'm not in a good mood.
Oh my God! What happened?
Tell us about it.
There you go. And this, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, let me share this with you, baby. Come on closer. Come on
I
closer.
can't. The table's right here. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm good. They can see me.
Hello there.
You want to keep on? Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. We're waiting for the host.
Waiting for the host.
We're living
So
in
now
this
for those-
age of internet, and sometimes you
we'll
drop
work
out.
it out. I got you. I got you back. I got you back. Well, for those of you who don't know Miss Sophia, and aren't from Atlanta, wherever you're listening, Atlanta knows Miss Sophia. For those of you who may know him as Joe, but Miss Sophia is the hosts of hosts. If you have ever been in Atlanta, have ever been in the LGBT community, have ever been in a nightclub, you know Miss Sophia.
Have you ever been in a bookstore?
In a bookstore.
No, books where they read books. Actual bookstore. Barnes and Noble, that bookstore.
She is an amazing comedian. The timing is amazing. I remember the first time I saw Miss Sophia, and I tell the story to everybody. I was in a club and she was hosting, and it was packed, and a room full of people, and somebody sneezed in the back, and she stops everybody. Wait, who was that sneezing back here? Girl, you can't sneeze no more. If you sneeze one more time, you're gonna take everybody out of here with you. And I was like, oh my God, just an amazing comedian. So we are fortunate to have her here. We are you radio. Is there anything you want to add, love?
No, who are we speaking with?
Well, we're speaking with the Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange.
Yes,
On Be Exposed Radio.
Yes, and beefed up radio. I want to hear about the Real Nigga Show though, because that sounds like it's gonna be
You know what? I want to hear about it some more too. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with them. So
yeah, because that name really got my attention. That really
it gets a lot of people's attention. I mean, they've been doing it for years now. So
yeah. So
and what is it called again?
The Real Nigga Show.
So they haven't got any pushback on that title.
Nate's on his way in right now, so he can probably explain it.
Yeah, he can probably speak to that too. But yeah, so we're excited about what we're doing here. Where Are You Radio? And I want to give a shout out to DJ Baker over the Weekly Top 40, and I forget the young lady name over at Urban Underground, who are also giving a platform to LGBTQ artists and their music and their work. So definitely give a shout out to them and anybody just talking to fill this air, y'all, because this is airtime. Somebody paid for this.
I'm back on.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to do your job no more. This is hard.
First rule of online radio: make sure everything is charged up and ready to go. I broke that rule today. But I see Miss Sophia.
Yeah.
Hi, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just talking to the boss man here and learning more about
supervisor. That's the supervisor. Yeah, our boss is in heaven.
So I have you on. First of all, I have to say I have loved you for a long time, Miss Sophia.
Thank you.
I'm really excited that you are here with We Are You Radio, and I've watched you from everything. I'm really glad that more and I see you and I be listening. I can't hang with you and hyenas at night. I was trying, but I was falling asleep halfway through. And y'all be up
I fall asleep the last couple of times we get on. I fell asleep.
Well, you in a bed now. That's dangerous. So you gotta get out the bed because you're gonna fall asleep every time. But how is it now with We Are You Radio? How are you liking your new home?
I love it. It's awesome. At first, I was a little hesitant. I'm sure George told you guys. He said, Sophia, I want you to come aboard the radio station. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And he said, okay. So it's about a month later. He said, Sophia, when you going to start? I said, give me like 2 more weeks. And he's like, okay, like 2 more weeks. I was like, Sophia, when you going to start? I said, well, let's give me like another week. I'm going to get back with you. And he said, okay. So a week later, he came back. He said, Sophia, your starting date is, that's my starting date. And I was hesitant to start because, I come from radio and I know what all, has to go on with the producers and the interns and all of that. we had a whole team from the radio station that I came from. So I knew what it took for the radio show to be a success. And that was just like scary to know that everything was going to be on me. I don't have a producer. I don't have an intern. I don't have a street team. I don't have people working back in sales to go and sell the radio station. So all of that stuff that somebody else was doing at the other radio station, it's on me. So it's just like, that's why I was a little so like, okay, I'm gonna start. But, you know, I came, I started, and now that I'm here, it's been the most rewarding feeling in the world, because now all of the things that I learned over there, the only thing that I didn't learn was working the board. And so that was the most petrifying thing for me. So once I learned how to work the board, and it's just like, now I got it here, got my feet wet, and I'm running, and I'm just, you know, putting to work what I have learned over at the V103 and George Littell's radio, FM Digital Live. So it's just like everything is coming together. So now I'm booking guests and everything, and it's just like a piece of cake, and I love it because it's just like, you know, my supervisor, he gives me total control.
Well, all the work that you put into this probably has made this transition now, where you're at the helm of your career now. It's probably made it much easier. Not to say the work is any less, but you have a fan base that's beyond Atlanta and beyond, you know, that's willing to come on and support you. Why? But my biggest question I've always wanted to ask you, why radio? It seems like you come and you go, and you're always, you're consistent, because you could be hosting many other things or traveling. Why radio?
And listen, and I tell everybody, radio is a dream that somebody else dreamed for me. Radio was not on my radar at all. When I moved to Atlanta, I was coming to Atlanta to start working on my stand-up comedy, because at the time, all of the comedians seemed like we're getting television shows, and that's what I wanted, TV and movie. So when I moved to Atlanta, I was coming here solely to work on my stand-up comedy, and I was going to do it at the Black-owned, Black-operated comedy club. Chris Tucker had a comedy club here in Atlanta. So I came to Atlanta with that in mind. I wasn't going to do shows. I wasn't going to do any of that drag stuff. I was only coming here to perfect my stand-up comedy routine, because I wanted a television show. I wanted to be in movies. And when I got here, and then radio fell in my lap. So it was just like, after I, you know, did radio a couple of years and stuff, it dawned on me that, you know, God, it was my plan to move here and work on my stand-up comedy. So I didn't want to, first of all, I didn't want to move from Texas to Atlanta, because that was just like putting too many miles in between me and my family. But then I had this great idea that I was coming here to work on my stand-up comedy. So God, in God's eyes, he was like, well, if that's what it takes for me to get you where I want you, which is in Atlanta, then I'm going to let you think that until you get to Atlanta. And then I'll reveal to you what it is that I have in store for you. So it was one of those situations, you know. That was a dream that somebody else dreamed for me, radio, because it was not on my radar. And then once it happened, and all the things that I experienced during radio, and now I'm on my own. I have my own radio show. So it's just
how
like,
does it feel though? It's just you now. So being the host of your show, how different does it feel? Or does it feel different?
Well, the only difference is I'm in a new building. I'm doing it, and I have my own show, because everything that I brought to me from V is what I'm bringing here at We Are Your Radio. So the thing about it is, a lot of comedians, I feel, don't make it in radio because you take away the live audience. And a lot of comedians are used to getting that feedback. When they tell a joke, they want to hear the laughter, or they want to hear the boos, or whatever. They want that live feedback. But when you take a comedian and they're used to that, and you put them in a room with two other people or by themselves, it's hard for them to like figure out, is it funny? Is it working? Is it not working? Because they're like second guessing themselves while they're on the air. You can't do that. So you have to just have confidence in what you do, and know that what you do, people enjoy it. And if it makes me laugh, I feel like it makes everybody else laugh. So I don't second guess myself while I'm, you know, in here by myself. So that's the only thing. You have to adjust to being your own audience, your own critic, and know that the stuff that you did and you said when you were in the presence of an audience, that it's working fine now.
And me and George were talking earlier about, I'm making mention, radio has now turned into a platform for artists, for individuals, for somebody you've never heard before to make a career. The in a whole different way other than, going through and being an actor or, like you said, a comedian or a host. Now you can have your radio show, and because now we're implementing video and YouTube and such, now people can see you, and people are being hired and booked and being asked to do things simply because they have this platform. Now every musical artist we know of have their own podcast or radio show. How has that affected or helped you in your career?
Well, it's helped me in one way. Well, speaking of that, a lot of, it's just not radio, the internet and social media has changed entertainment, period.
Right.
No one needs a record label. No one needs an agent. No one needs all of these things. You don't need a middleman. All you need is to get your equipment, set it up in your room, and do you and sell yourself. Right. So how has it changed? For me, it was a good thing for me because a lot of people were advertising that, us as show people were going to be at certain places, knowing that they haven't spoken with us. So they were false advertising that we were going to be somewhere. So with social media, it had cut out a lot of that. And then it's just like you say, we have a fan base, and then we can build on our fan base because we're able to reach more people. If we're in, say for instance, I'm in Atlanta right now. I have people that can see me in Germany. I have people that can see me in Switzerland. I can have people that can see me around the world, as opposed to the limited audience in the city that I'm in. So it has been a huge boost for our fan base. And, just speaking of which, YouTube, when I started my YouTube channel, it's just like you have to have 1,000 people before you can become monetized. I reached my 1,000 people in like a week and a half. And so now it's so many people that are using the social media. YouTube has changed the whole game. It's just like you have to have so many hours now before you can go live. You have to have so many followers before you can, even be monetized and all of that. So it's just like that's because the demand is great, and it has changed like tremendously, and it's a good thing.
I'm gonna say specifically for you, when you had left your last online station, it was just a bigger gap from when we were able to see you or follow up. So a lot of us was just watching stuff from the past or catching the show if you wasn't in Atlanta to hear you on the other station. But I'm saying I love the fact that you are more accessible to us now in terms of your talent. And I can't wait to see what this new wave of internet marketing and branding will help you get to another space, and just artists in general being able to use this, like as you said, to kind of further their career. How are you? Well, we're watching. If you want to, Miss Sophia's Laughing Hyenas, you are watching Miss Sophia learn this game as she goes, and I'm loving how you are adapting and changing and moving, not necessarily changing who you are, but you're changing in terms of what you learned this to be. I would love to know, what advice would you give to artists who did not have to grind like you have and learn things the old way versus, now everything, just all you need is Zoom or a piece of software and you can call yourself a radio station. Do you think that people now, do they need that old way of doing things, or do they need to learn things that way as well to make them better?
The advice I would give them is, if somebody else is doing an interview and you come in to have a cup of coffee, don't go in that room. No.
Don't go in.
No,
but I'm so glad that you came.
The advice that I would give to anyone, and it's just not with radio, it's just in life in general. When I was at V103, and I talked about this the other day with my Laughing Hyenas. When I was at V103, my sole goal was to leave the door open for the next person like me to come in the door, and don't leave such a bad taste in people's mouth where they don't want to look at nobody else in our community to invite them into that door. And, I said that when I was there, and I had that conversation. The reason I brought it up the other day was because I had that conversation about, Tyra Sanchez, James Williams, the second winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, when he was getting in trouble. And I pulled him to the side and I had that conversation with him. And ironically, it is the same conversation that Kamala Harris had, when she did her interview yesterday on ABC News, and she said, my mama told me that I would be the first of many, but make sure that I'm not the last. So it's the same concept. It's just like always when you realize what you have and you're representing yourself, your family, and your community, make sure that you're doing a great job. And then even if you decide to leave or they decide to push you out the door, your invite there, your stay there, as well as your exit. They're going to judge the next person that they invite in the door on your stay, and your exit. So be mindful of what you do at all times.
Will we see Miss Sophia on stage soon, or in a
Of
movie
course,
or television?
of course, because that's my dream for myself. My theater was my major. So I've
Mm.
always wanted to be on stage, in plays and in movies. So it's just like, I'm just, whenever God is ready.
Are you excited of the explosion that Atlanta has had in terms of the entertainment, especially with Tyler moving that studio there, and now it's becoming a film mecca, not just for music but art, all the arts in general?
I am excited, but I'm also a little disappointed because of what the reality TV is doing to serious roles. And it's just like, when you see, you have the Housewives, and then you have the Married to Medicine, and then you have the Love and Hip Hop, and then you have the Basketball Wives, and then you have, so forth and so on. It's all the same. It's just showing us in a negative light. And I'm always reminded what Ruby D said when we had the opportunity to sit down and have a chat with Ruby D. And we were talking to her because we were at a theater. I worked at the theater, the Ensemble Theater in Houston, Texas. And one of the questions that we posed to her was, how is it that, we have quality work here? We put on quality work. We have rehearsals, 6 months. We run these plays. We put on productions like, August Wilson, 2 Trains running and all that, quality productions by, these, well-known writers and stuff. And we say we have trouble trying to fill the seats in this theater that's local here in Houston. I said, but then somebody can come through with a chitlin circuit play with some horrible acting, horrible set, the plot and all that. It's just like, something to come through and make some quick money, and they just fill out not just theaters but arenas. So we say, well, how do we compete with that? And she said, don't talk about them. She said, you have to find a way to become a part of it. And she said, what I mean when I say that is you have to figure out a way to get on the inside, because they are doing what you want to do, but it's just not to the quality that you want to do it. So you have to find a way to get inside. And once you get in the door, you could bring somebody else along. And before you know it, all those bad actors that you say, or all those people who was putting together you're throwing together these sets and they're not looking good, before you know it, by you being one person going and joining a team, and then you invite somebody else and they invite somebody else, and before you know it, you'll have a whole quality full of team members that know what they're doing and can put on the type of quality work that you all want to put on. So the thing is to find your way in the door. Don't talk about them, because you're not going to get in that way. If you talk about them, they're just going to push you to the side. But if I really appreciate y'all doing such and such. I've been to school for acting and I do this, da 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 da. So it's just like, yeah, you just got to find a way to get in the door so you can make the change that needs to be made. So the work that you live for, you die for, you breathe for, you went to school for, that people will, really appreciate that.
I'm sitting in the middle of a theater right now, and that we're doing a show this coming Saturday, and that's definitely a heartache for us, because if we were doing something that was derogatory to our community, tickets would have been sold out. We would have been.
And then it's just like even with Color Girls at the Ensemble Theater, we did for Color Girls who consider Suicide When the Rainbow Isn't Enough at least 3 or 4 times, and we had Itazaki there. So it's just like she came to the opening like several times. So it's just like we have done that, 3 times at the Ensemble Theater. And then there are a lot of Black theaters throughout the world, and they have done that play. But some people's first time seeing it was when Tyler Perry put it in movie form, and everybody didn't think it was going to work. In certain instances, it didn't work. But that was some people's first,
Kind of
viewing of the movie.
Yeah.
And the same thing with One Monkey Don't Stop. I mean, the same thing with Fences. We put on Fences at the Ensemble Theater. A lot of other Black theaters put it on, throughout the world. But some people's first time seeing Fences was when Viola Davis and Denzel Washington was in the movie doing Fences.
Right. And in moments like that, I like that our work is being seen, but I hate how watered down we often have to make it to be able to be seen. And then when people see it in that format, they like, people didn't like For Color Girls when they saw Tyler Perry doing it. And that was heartbreaking because if they would have saw it in its natural habitat, it would have kind of exploded. But
right, I was waiting to see how the Bo Willie Brown, I was waiting to see how that went over. And then I already knew that he was taking a chance when I saw that he was going to be putting men in the movie. And it's just like,
and adding the character, and it sometimes you have to leave well enough alone. And I'm learning as an artist now to be my most authentic self, but just learn the process first. Learn the process, and then you can break the rules. But when we start breaking the rules before we've even learned the origin of what it is that we're trying to tap into, it kind of distorts it and destroys what it is. Go ahead.
A lot of the authors and a lot of the writers and stuff, like they would come down, we commission their work, and they would come down and they would let you know, you don't change not one word.
It's illegal to change words.
Yeah, and it's just like that's plagiarism, and it's just like you cannot change that. You cannot change one word. He said that's you. If you change one word, it changed the whole meaning of what I wrote. So it's just like, just can't do it.
Have you ever thought of not even just producing, but creating your own like one woman show or your own theater piece? Are you in the works of that, or will we see that down the line?
Of course.
Can I roll? I mean, just asking, just putting it out there. I'm gonna ask you. Just let me know.
What?
I want to roll in whatever you write. That's what I'm.
You want to roll?
Yes.
If it's a one woman show, it's only one woman in the show.
Well, I mean, I'm from the theater, so you either the janitor, the director. There's many roles.
Oh, you mean that role? Oh.
It's not just one role.
Build a set.
Okay.
Costume head.
I owe Sally me a lot of money, so I'm gonna have to put it
what city are you in?
I'm in Baltimore.
And what's the theater you're in right now?
Well, we're in the Baltimore Theater Project. Baltimore Theater Project is kind of a roadhouse for avant-garde, new pieces, a kind of experimental theater. So it normally, without the quarantine or the pandemic, it's normally just a roadhouse. So plays from all over the world normally come here and do their work here. So we're now we're gonna do a live stream because we're not able to open that capacity. So we think that we've been planning to do it as a live stream so more people can see it.
So do y'all have more than one theater in the building, or is it just one theater?
This is just one theater in this space. So we have lots of theaters. Go ahead.
George is still here.
But I didn't see him. So I didn't know.
I was letting you guys talk. I'm good.
I'm fanning out right now. Let me just tell you, I'm fanning out.
And I know. Go ahead.
And beyond just, I tune into your show and whenever you go live, and it's been a pleasure to watch somebody who I feel like represents me on a bigger scale, do their work and be consistent and not give up. It's so easy for people to give up, especially from this LGBT community, because we have so many daggers that are being thrown at us. But watching you consistently do your work, and now you are a part of this whole live streaming, doing your work from virtual places. I'm really enjoying watching you, but I'm fanning out.
I have to give a shout out to this. I don't know if you know Fredio. Yeah, he's a blogger, and now he started out as an intern at V103. And I can say that he started off as an intern with the morning show. And to see his success and where he is right now, it's just like you would not believe what he was going through when he was at V103. And it was just like, for lack of a better word, they basically laughed at him when he was talking about doing what he was doing and when he started doing what he's doing. So now he's one of the biggest bloggers here in Atlanta, and he has worked with, there's not nobody that does not know him. They call him to videotape their weddings. They call him for all the red carpet events. They call him for birthday parties. I mean, rappers, actors, singers, whoever. You know, he has a Rolodex that's probably could match Oprah Winfrey's. But just the thing, and then it's just like I always think about when he first started at V103, how, you know, basically they was basically laughing at him because you know, what he was talking about doing and what he was doing and when he started out. So it's just like, child, you just got to be true and know what you want, and you got to learn how to tune out the haters, because we all have haters. I have haters, you have haters, George have haters, we all have haters. And one thing that I have learned, and I thank God that I've learned the lesson, is that I'm not wasting time on people who don't like me in the first place. The energy that I have is going towards the Laughing Hyena. It's going towards the people who support the We Are You Radio. It's going towards the people who support me when I go and do a show at a club. It's going toward, you know, all those people. And then when I go to places, then it's not like I expect 1,000 and there's only 10. I'm going to perform like there are only like there are 10,000 people there, although it's only 10. Because out of that 10, one of them could be Oprah, one of them could be Steven Spielberg, and they could take me somewhere that, you know, 10,000 people perform, and me perform for 10,000 people couldn't take me, because I gave my all with 10 people there, and they saw that, and they're like, you know what? You were performing like it was like 1 million people in here. It was just us little 5 people, you know, and I got such and such, and I want to, you know, bring you to such, and stuff like that has happened, you know. I've got invited to work at, you know, office parties, birthday parties, you know, weddings and all that stuff, because somebody saw, you know, my entertainment value. And I don't spend my time sitting up there talking about different people with, like, if it's only 10 people there and I'm expecting 100. Then those 10 people that came to see you, you sitting up there the whole time and seeing, then everybody be talking about, I want to do this and I want you to do that and I want to do that. And then I do it and ain't nobody here, blah, blah, blah. So it's not just like the people that came to see you, you sitting up here scolding them for the people that didn't come to see you. So it's like, don't do that. So I don't waste time on haters, because I know we all have them. So it's just like, and you know, we on YouTube and Facebook and all the social media, we have trolls. That's why we have to have these moderators on to keep these trolls out of here, honey. So just like, don't waste time on it. When you focus on, because the time that you have, honey, you have to use that time wisely, because time is the one thing that we don't get back. And you got to use the time to the best to get the things that you want.
So we're kind of going low on time, but I want you to tell you and George, tell us where we can find you at on social media, when your show comes on, how we can send you, you know, whatever you may need. So tell us where we can find you at. Let's start.
Well, you can find us. You can find us on a multitude of platforms. But the one way that we'd love for you to do is go to the Google Play Store, go to the iTunes Store, and look up WERU Radio. This right here, right back here. Look that up on those platforms, and when you see that hand there, download the app, listen to the station. The morning show, the We Are You Morning Crew, with myself and Jana and Nova, we're on in the morning from 6 until 10, Eastern. And then Miss Sophia, Diamond is on from 10 until 2. She's the midday lady. Been knowing her for a long time. Love her to death. And then Miss Sophia comes with Club Chit Chat. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a whole lot of chit chat from 2 until 6 p.m. And then after that, the music rolls on. But we are looking to fill that nighttime position. Hint, hint, if anybody wants to. And you can contact us at many emails, WERUradio@gmail.com or info@weareyouradio.com.
So the final question that I would like to ask both of you, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self, and what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
You know what? I was just in my head just a few seconds ago thinking when I was younger, how I doubted myself and would always put myself in the background. I love being in the background, and I'm comfortable with that. And would always dim my light so that other people could feel better about themselves. And I'm always pushing everybody else. And if I was 17 again, I would say, no, you got it. With everything that you're pushing everybody else to do, everybody that you're being a champion for, everybody, you can do this. So do it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. People will love you in spite of the things that you think they won't love you for. So that's what I would say to my 17-year-old self. My 100-year-old self is, boy, you still around doing the same damn thing? That's what that's what I'd probably say. But yeah, that's what I would say. And Sophia?
My 17-year-old self, I would say, be patient, calm down, and listen to every single adult that comes in your life that gives you a bit of advice, because they're only teaching you and telling you what they've already experienced and what they've learned, and they're trying to keep you from falling in the pitfalls that they fell in when they were young. So it's like, be patient, calm down, and listen to every single adult that comes in your life that tries to give you some advice. My 100-year-old self,
which she is right now,
would say, I believe I'm still here because of my faith in God, because of how I treated others, and because of the decisions that I made in my life that were not reckless. And I thank God that I'm still here.
Can I get a do-over on my? No.
Next time. But I'm so grateful first to you, George, for agreeing to come on to the station. We didn't know each other from a can of paint, and we still didn't get to that topic. But
Look,
really
we got to
grateful.
do it. We got to do it again, and then we have to do. This is why you call it the artist exchange, so we can come back and do this thing again and again, so that we can get this going back and forth and supporting each other. So hey, I'm here. Just call me. Let me know.
We're always.
And y'all could have done it if you had to let me have my cup of coffee and went on to interview George.
And then I have to say,
why she's here.
Second to you, Miss Sophia. I'm definitely gonna get some cool points from one of my best friends, because we have watched you for years grow, and I'm glad that individuals like yourself are finding a community within these new ways of doing things that will allow you to be seen beyond the walls of Atlanta and Georgia. Not that the walls contained you anyway, but I'm glad that you are now receiving your just desserts. You are able to see all of the multitudes of people that are supporting you and following you. And I wish you and George and all the other hosts and individuals at VRU Radio much success, much love. And you always have a brother-sister station here at Big Exposed Radio here in Baltimore. And I appreciate you for joining us, because I know you got so much to do, Ms. Sophia and George. And thank you all for taking the time and supporting a little old brother like myself here in B-More. But I appreciate you, and I can't wait to be able to, you're traveling again with the TS and y'all come back up here to Baltimore. So is it any
I've been Virginia Labor Day weekend. I've been Virginia Labor Day weekend, Richmond, Virginia.
Is that a club appearance or what?
I'm not sure. It's Zakia Zamassier. She's putting together a weekend for the Sweetheart, because she's Mrs. Sweetheart. So she's putting together a weekend event for them Labor Day weekend. So I'll be there this weekend, well, next weekend.
So let me see where the road may take me, and I may just shout you out, hey, Miss Sophia. But again, thank you again for joining us. This has been a real pleasure, a surprise tuning back in and seeing your face on my screen. So thank you again.
Thank you. It was a surprise to me too.
Right.
It's just what you said. You know what? On top of what you said, I just want to add to everybody. You're never too old to learn. I'm still learning. George's still learning. We're all still learning, because certain people think once you become a certain age that you have learned everything that you can learn. I'm still learning. Radio. I don't know everything when it comes to radio. I don't know everything when it comes to drag. I don't know everything when it comes to whatever. So you're never too old to learn. And as long as you are alive, you will learn something every single day.
And tune and follow VRU Radio on Instagram, Facebook, all those things.
We're on all social media. Every bit of social media, WERU Radio. That's right here.
And your
social media.
Instagram is at the bottom of our screen as well.
Oh, but I don't need my Instagram on there. I need you to put my Cash App on there.
$ Miss Sophia McIntosh.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. It has been a
Anytime.
blessing. I
And we'll
really enjoyed
definitely,
it.
I'll reach out to you in a few. We're in the midst of production, so I gotta get back to that. But thank you immensely, sir, and I appreciate you.
And somebody still got to give me the 401 on the nigga show. Come on now, wait a minute.
I'm telling you, get your tickets. A Real Nigga Show at Eventbrite. It is a phenomenal piece. This is the answer to For Color Girls, Miss Sophia. This production that we're doing right now is our production. It's 17 years in the making. These gentlemen have been growing with this piece since they were about 17 and 18, and most of them are almost 40 now. So they've been doing this play for a number of years, and it's our answer to For Color Girls. So please come out and support it. You can watch it butt naked in your bed if you want to. You ain't even got to leave your home. You can get your snacks. Tell her get her honey buns together, and she'll come and watch it from the comfort of her own home. But I'll send you out the information for that as well, sir. I appreciate you.
Definitely. All right, we'll talk soon, man. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Sophia. So this has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of this party, if you want to join us every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, definitely join us here at BeExposedRadio.com. If you're looking for a show, if you're looking for a place to bring your show, Be Exposed Radio could definitely be your home. We're working out some logistics right now. We're kind of in this quarantine phase, but we're not letting that stop us. Again, the Artist Exchange Radio Show every Monday and Friday. You can find us on all major outlets here on Be Exposed Radio as well. And then the Artist Exchange is definitely moving forward. Again, this is one of the projects that the Artist Exchange is working with, the Real Nigga Show. It will be live at 7 p.m. this coming Saturday. You will not want to miss this production. It's one night only. It may be coming back sometime next year. We'll be traveling with it, but definitely come on, enjoy the show of 5 intelligent, talented, strong Black men, basically pouring their heart out on the stage. And it's an awesome production. It's going to be a little bit different than what you expect from theater, but it's all the elements of theater and more. We're having some awesome videos and short films throughout the piece as well. So tune in. Just go to Eventbrite and look up A Real Nigga Show. Tickets are simply $18. You can get together with your group of people, have a watch party, and enjoy yourself. So again, thank you, Mr. George. Thank you all. We'll be back on Friday with a whole nother show. Peace out, everybody.
He looked like he just got a new car. He just saw that shit get backed into by a big